Hey, good evening. What's up, everybody? Hey, wait a minute. What the hell? Okay. Y'all let me know y'all can hear me, man. Yeah, y'all let me know y'all can hear me. All right, so you can't hear me. All right. All right. Um, yeah, my bad to check on that damn dog, make sure he ain't got loose. So I had to go check on him real quick. All right. How everybody doing? It's been a minute. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Yeah, it's been a minute. Been a real good minute. You know, how everybody doing, man? Me just been work, work, work. Took me a little trip. Shit. Enjoy myself. They say, Janet Jackson said, funny how times flies when you're having fun, and it sure do flies. So, yeah. So I've been kind of going with the wind lately. All right. All right. Rio, what's going on? How you doing? Good evening. Melissa B, what's going on? Barbara, what's going on? Single on True Crime, how you doing, dear? Larissa, what's going on? Donna, what's going on? Carolina Bitter, what's going on? I thought I seen a couple of people. Barbara says she's sick. What's wrong with you, Barbara? What's wrong? Everybody getting sick with something. So yeah, everybody catching something. There's always something in there. There's something in there or something that we put in our body. All right. And it looked like a couple of y'all earlier was using that talk to text thing. Y'all be careful with that now, cause you're gonna just gonna mix around and say something that you don't want to get out now. Trust me, I know. I try to avoid using that damn thing. All right. So you're using that talk to text, man. Y'all be careful what you're saying, cause you saying one thing, that damn thing gonna type out something totally different, totally different. And it's, a lot of time they go make it break a friendship or make it break a relationship. You don't be careful. All right. So yeah, y'all be careful with that. All right, so let's get right into it, man. You ever called those the worst ones? Oh, those the worst ones. Ooh we yes, ma'am. Those the worst ones. You got a strep throat and a cold. I don't know which one is worse when you get it when you're a child or that you get it. Period. All right. Where's my camera? Okay. Yeah, and there's strep throats and all that. I don't know if it's worse when you get it as a child or it's worse when you get it. Period. I don't know, but them things ain't nothing to play with. So you make sure you take care of yourself. Dope yourself up with whatever you can. Um, and yeah, do it. Do it. I miss you too. I miss you too. I miss you too. All right, Tina, what's going on? Good morning. Good evening, Jeff. What's going on? It's been a minute. How you doing? All right, guys. I saw some of y'all in the chat before I came live. And y'all said, hey, I never heard a thing about this story. Well, what I always tell y'all, I like to get on stories that y'all ain't never heard about. And I want to put out stories that people are not paying attention to, which I think they should be paying attention to, especially with what's going on in today's era with a lot of these children dying by. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Is it fentanyl or fentanyl? Because I used to say fentanyl, but is it fentanyl? I think it's fentanyl. All right. We have a lot of children that's getting a hold of this stuff and dying from it, and it's getting so bad now that it has gotten in the daycare. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one child that has died. And we have 3 children who has been hospitalized because this daycare had drugs. Now, articles say it's opioids. I'm not sure if fentanyl and opioids are the same thing. But the fact of the matter is, why are you having this in a place, in a facility where you are taking care of kids, knowing kids are curious and they get into everything that they see if they curious enough about it. And when we're going to realize, like I always say, we was kids once, so why nobody think about that? We were children once and we got into shit that we was curious about, all right? But unfortunately, everybody don't think like me. Everybody don't think like you. Some of these folks just get so greedy, and if they making a profit off of it, you get away with it the first time, they just get greedy and keep on doing it. But like we always say over here, what's done in the dark is going to come to the light. Amen? It always happens. It always happens. Okay? Now, again, a 1-year-old has died from this, and you have 3 that's in the hospital. This story is coming out of New York City. It's coming out of New York City. A 1-year-old boy is dead, and please hit the thumbs up if you have it. A 1-year-old boy is dead after the children appeared to have came in contact with an opioid at their daycare. All right. And it goes on to say this. The name of the daycare is Divino Niño. If I said it right, Divino Niño Daycare. Divino Niño Daycare. That's the name of it. All right. And it says as follows. A 1-year-old is dead and 3 other young children remain hospitalized after a drug paraphernalia was discovered at a daycare center in the Bronx. In a press conference Friday night, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, NYPD Commissioner Edward Caban, and NYPD Chief Detective Joseph Kinney, they have provided an update on the ongoing investigation into the incident, which occurred Friday afternoon. Adams announced that 4 children attending the Divino Niño Daycare appeared to have come in contact with an opioid that led to hospitalization for 3 other children, and 1 child is DOA, died from this interaction. All right. Now, before we get in deep into this, I don't know if I got any nurses in the chat room who deal with medications. All right. I was reading something, I can't remember. It's probably been about a week ago. And they was talking about this subject right here. And I think it was another child somewhere else that died by fentanyl. Fentanyl. Gotta remember that. Fentanyl. No. I take it back. Somebody was saying something about if you try to use your card at a gas station, they doing something now where they lacing it with fentanyl, and if you touch it, you're supposed to get sick or something. I saw people said that you can't get sick just by touching it. I saw some people say you can't get sick just by touching it. All right. So anybody who's in my chat room who listening to this now, or who may be listening to this later, please tell me, can you die from touching it, or does it have to be ingested or injected in your body? Okay? Somebody tell me that. All right? Curl says 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine. Ooh wee. All right. So yeah, any nurses or anybody who is familiar with that drug, I want to know, can you die or get sick just by touching it, or does it have to be ingested or injected into your body? All right. Now I want to know that myself. All right. And I look over here periodically to see what y'all saying over there. Adams announced that 4 children attended the Divino Niño Daycare appeared to have come in contact with opioid that led to hospitalization for 3 other children, and 1 child is DOA, died from this interaction. Interaction had many meanings, touch, ingested, or whatever. Kidder provided more details, sharing that NYPD received a 911 call for 3 unconscious children at 2:43 on Friday. All 3 children were unresponsive and demonstrating symptoms of opioid exposure. Kennedy said during the press conference, Narcan, I done heard of that before, Narcan was administered to all 3 of these children in an attempt to save their lives. Poor babies. Poor baby. Y'all hear this? Y'all hear this? Now, again, this is why I want to bring these stories to y'all, because nobody's talking about this, and I think this is something that needs to be constantly keep talking about. Not because it's just children, but what's going on with the situation. Fentanyl. We're hearing this a lot now. Fentanyl. For the past few months, that's all I've been hearing. Fentanyl. A child got sick to die. Fentanyl. A child got sick and child has died. All right? So I'm glad when some of y'all came in and said, I don't know about this story. Well, you're going to know about it tonight if I got anything to do with it. All right? In the statement shared with People, NYPD identified a children as an 8-month-old girl. Oh, 8-month-old, jeez. An 8-month-old girl and a 1-year-old boy and a 2-year-old boy. 8-month-old, 1-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And they confirmed that the 1-year-old identified as Nicholas Dominici. I think I said that right. Nicholas Dominici was pronounced dead at the medical center while all 3 children were taken to seek medical attention. Right, and I'm going to leave that right there. We're going to get into some of these news clips. I'm going to say this right here. And I put it on Twitter. It has come to a point now. Homeschooling. And that's bad that we gotten in the era in a time now. You cannot leave your child at a damn daycare because you got foods like this. And I keep telling y'all, it ain't just black people that do stupid shit. It's all over the place. Black, white, Mexican, Korean, Chinese, Japanese, name them all. Everybody is not immune to doing stupid shit. Amen? Nobody is immune to it. And I was just talking to somebody the other day with this. Greed gets a lot of us in trouble. We do it the first time, we get away with it, we get greedy and want to do it again. Prime example, you stole some money from somebody's pocket, $10 or $20. You got to get somewhat of a rush from that. So since you feel like you got away from it, what you going to do? You're going to go do it again. All right? Same thing with bank robbers. They probably get a rush from robbing their first bank. They want to get greedy and go back and do it again. You can even say the same thing about cheating. Hey, you go somewhere, do your thing, it's a rush. You got away with it the first time. You want to get greedy and keep on doing it again. Until you get caught, then the whole thing changes. Not everybody's sorry. Everybody's sorry now. And we asked the main question, are you really sorry? Or this is just a pity party? Because everybody who says sorry doesn't mean that they sorry. It's just to pacify you at that moment. But we asked the one question to the person who does the dirty deed that they can't never answer. And that question is, or the statement is, if you were sorry, you would have never did it. Or if you're sorry, why did you do it? Ladies and gentlemen, and can't nobody answer the question when we tell them that, right? Or we ask them that. Nobody can answer the question. Why? Why? Are you really sorry? Or the other question, or are you sorry because you got caught? Are you really sorry, or are you sorry because you got caught? Which one is it? You hear me, Rio? You hear me?
We have new information.
All right, guys, let's hear some of this foolery. And if you haven't already, please hit thumbs up for your boy. And as always, man, hey, let me know what you think about this. Look at handsome boy. And that's sad. They go to dad right there. We're going to hear him a little later.
We have new information this morning on a tragic story that unfolded inside a daycare in the Bronx. As investigators spent the night searching for evidence, we learned from city officials they found drug production equipment in that daycare. One child died yesterday. 3 others are in the hospital this morning. Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Solis is live in the Kingsbridge section of the Bronx. Marcus.
And Tony, an autopsy will be performed on that 1-year-old to try and determine the source of the exposure to fentanyl, it is believed, that took place in the daycare center that he was in. A lot for investigators to unpack, and it started with a search warrant being executed by the NYPD last night. You can see investigators in protective equipment bringing out evidence from that location, the Divino Niño Daycare Center on Morris Avenue. Among the items discovered, a kilo press, which is used in the packaging of narcotics.
A kilo press in a daycare. Are you serious? A kilo press in a daycare. Man, if you're doing this around other people's children and you don't care about their children, how can you possibly care about yours if you're doing that? Wow.
It is not known what type of drug was allegedly being manufactured here and if it was being cut with fentanyl, but officials believe that is what those young children were exposed to. And it apparently started earlier than was originally believed. One child went home before lunch and was acting lethargic, and that is when police took him to Bronx Lebanon Hospital, where Narcan was administered, and that child remains hospitalized. In the meantime, the daycare center didn't know, and workers had trouble waking kids up from their nap around 1:30, and that is when they realized the extent of the emergency. 1-year-old Nicholas Dominici was pronounced dead at Montefiore Hospital. A 2-year-old boy in critical condition. An 8-month-old girl is in stable condition. Now, Mayor Adams saying this really hammers home just how dangerous and just how intense exposure to even the smallest amount of fentanyl can be.
This crisis is real.
Wait a minute, did I see somebody come in saying something about PX or something like that? Did I just see somebody come in and say that? If y'all did, there was no troll. That was actual real person. I think I might have glanced at it too quick, though. I could have sworn I just seen somebody come in there saying something about some PX or something, but if I didn't, my bad.
And it is a real wake-up call for individuals who have opioids or fentanyl in their homes. The mere contact is deadly for an adult and is extremely deadly for a child.
Now, as for this daycare center, it opened in January for children 6 weeks old to 12 years old, and it was going through the licensing process. It passed all its inspections, including a surprise inspection by authorities just last week. Police currently questioning 2 individuals, one the proprietor of the establishment, another unidentified male, as their investigation continues.
At least I think I would have saw that. I'm seeing things. Yeah, it's out my eyes. I think I'm seeing things. Yeah, because if somebody would block somebody, I would have saw that. Okay. I'd have heard of the term lethargic. You know, sometimes I get other details that I'm ignorant to it, but kind of find out when I look up the definition, it's pretty much some words that we use pretty much on an everyday basis. And as I looked it up, it's pretty much saying sluggish, lacking energy, or lacking interest in doing things. Also, an underlying physical or mental condition, and a side effect of the medication, and that's what we're talking about right now. A side effects of a medication can leave you lethargic. And again, boy, not a phrase I didn't know what the hell that means. I've heard the word plenty of times, but I mean, shit. Okay, cool. We say words, but it had the same meaning as anything else that you say. Okay? All right. So y'all heard that. We watch Sheriff Judge Great over here a lot. We do. One of my favorite sheriffs. You know, I admire that man, and hopefully one day I can get him on the show and speak with him. It would be an honor if I could speak to him. But he did a conference a while back, and he talked about a daycare and stuff they were doing in a daycare. All right. And he asked a question, and I speak about this all the time. Parents, do you do background checks when you send your children out to these daycares? Do you do background checks? All right. And not really just throwing shade on the parents or whatnot, because maybe some of them did. And depending on where they looked it up at, you know, it probably had good reviews or whatnot. But then you got some people who just want to put their child anywhere just to get rid of them for the day, you know. And I think that is jacked up right there, you know. You should always research the place where you leaving your child at, whether it's a neighborhood, a particular house, somebody who called themselves a nanny, you know. Anywhere, even a school, anything. You should definitely check the background of it, all right? And make sure that if you feel comfortable enough, then you put your child in a daycare or whatnot, or you feel comfortable enough, you know, hey, you don't mind your child being in that neighborhood, okay? Because what grandparents used to always say, even mom and dad probably used to say this a lot too, everything that glitters ain't what? Gold. Everything that glitter is not gold. The grass is not greener on the other side. Amen? The grass is not greener on the other side. Okay? Those things that our ancestors taught us. All right? And what that song says, don't let the green grass fool you. Boy, we all have been in that situation before, ain't we? We all been in that situation before. Because you know why? Because a lot of times we do stuff out of emotion. All right? We get mad. We don't be thinking too straight. We just make sudden moves, you know, because we get mad at somebody at the daycare, get mad at somebody at the school, you know, and we just want to take them out of school, not because that the school did anything. You just got mad at that one person at the school, the teacher, whatever, and we act out of emotion. But then when you put them in another school, you kind of find out that school is worse than the one you had them at. They was doing much better at the first school you had them at. How many of y'all had that? How many of y'all for? All right? I know it happened to me before. Got transferred to a school. Thought the grass was green over there. I didn't ask to go over there. Well, I guess my mom wanted me to go to that school because the bus was in their district where they come pick up the students. We're going to find out, that school wasn't nothing compared to the school I was at first. All right? So again, everything that glitters is not gold. All right? And the grass is not always greener on the other side of town. Sometimes, man, we need to keep where we at. I'm not saying don't defend the territory because somebody mistreating your children. Yeah, you defend your territory. And you got to whip some ass there. Hey, I guess it got to come down to it. I'm not recommending it, but if you got to whip some ass, you know, it's going to have to come down to it. But sometimes you just got to stand there, man, defend your territory. You don't let nobody run you off. You leave when you're ready to leave, not because some other person wants you to leave. Did I say that right? You leave when you want to leave. Not let the other person make you leave. All right? All right? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue.
Tonight, the NYPD are looking for the husband of that daycare operator. Police say he and several other people were seen fleeing the building after those 4 children were.
They were seen fleeing the building, the husband of the daycare. How about that? They were seen fleeing the building because they knew the jig was up.
Found unconscious. A 1-year-old little boy, that little boy right there, died.
Daycare operator and her husband's cousin now facing several charges, including murder. Experts say this tragedy highlights a growing problem: kids overdosing on fentanyl. How is that happening?
What I just say.
Reporter Dan Krauth takes a closer look at how more kids are getting sick. But we're going to begin with Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger. He's at the daycare center in the Kingsbridge section. And Josh, as you just heard in the news conference, they said that all of those kids tested positive for fentanyl.
And those visits are there to assess, to verify identity,
Yeah, Liz, you know, we're talking about kids who are overdosing with fentanyl, and Dan Kraft is going to have more on that in a second. These were not kids. These were toddlers, babies. They were 1 and 2 years old, and they were at a daycare center where their parents had dropped them off, trusting that those kids would be taken care of. This is a sobering point that the police commissioner just made. This was a kilo of fentanyl found in an area where those children had just eaten, and underneath a mat on which they'd been sleeping. That's how they were exposed to this poison.
Under a mat that they were sleeping on. Y'all hear this shit? And I remember those days we was in elementary school, we had to take naps. Y'all hear this? The drugs was under the mat that these children was sleeping on. You got to be a trifling son of a bitch to do that, okay? You got to be trifling. What do you didn't pay attention that it was under there? What do you forgot it was under there? Whatever the case may have been. That is so trifling. Something like that. And you know that is powerful. That you that trifling to leave it around some children, especially when they sleep. That's a damn shame.
We could show you video of the two people currently under arrest, the daycare owner and a man to whom she had been renting a room. Their names are Gray Mendez and Carlisto Acevedo Brito. Over the weekend, police arrested them. They say that this fentanyl had been stored and prepared in a room right there in this daycare, which is actually in a home, a licensed daycare, I should say. Around 1 p.m. Friday, these children had just eaten lunch when 4 of them suddenly fell ill. Cops say those toddlers had inhaled fentanyl particles during a day-long exposure to the drug. First responders, as the mayor just said, administered Narcan to all 4, likely saving the lives of 3 of them, but they could not save 1-year-old Nicholas Dominici, who died at the hospital. In the past 20 minutes, a visibly disturbed mayor, police commissioner, health commissioner tried to educate New Yorkers about the dangers of this poison.
That little corn, about less than the size of a fingernail, a tenth of the size of a fingernail, can kill an adult. So imagine what it could do to a child.
Really?
A little more than an hour ago, Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles met with the family of 2-year-old Jaziel Lino, who is one of the 3 little children who did survive the exposure with fentanyl. That little boy back at home, and the family incredibly grateful for the first responders who saved his life. As for the 2 suspects that I named earlier, they're both facing nearly a dozen charges, including murder. And as you said, Liz, cops right now are searching for the husband of the daycare owner, along with others seen on video, grabbing paraphernalia and fleeing when those children fell ill and before first responders could arrive.
See, and that's how you know somebody's a piece of shit. You know, you didn't care anything about them kids. You grabbed the drugs and got on down. And see, that's how you know somebody's a piece of shit right there. You know, no regard for the children. You know, all of them is a piece of shit. If you ask me. But he cared much about them drugs in them damn children. Wow. And you would think if one have a conscience, he at least come back and make sure the children, okay, at least try to play it off. But no, they care more about the drugs than the children. Okay? So now I got a better understanding. This is actually an in-home daycare for what it sounds like they said. This is an in-home daycare, all right? Now, the thing with that is, them in-house daycares in this time era, those the one you got to be extra cautious of. Those the one you got to be extra cautious of. I don't know why, but I feel like with those, you got to be extra careful with those type, because you just don't know what them people be doing behind closed doors. You know, what are they clean or a hot mess? Or are they trifling? If it's a dude running the daycare, do we having all kind of women running in at the daycare? Or if it's a woman running the daycare, do she having all kind of traffic running in and out the home or whatnot? You know, and that one right there, you know, just gotta be real cautious about that one, you know? And, you know, and that just, and again, this should be a prime example, because look what they was doing. You know, look what they was doing. Right there under their nose, They was doing this. All right? But now I am curious. And I'm not just saying to the people who lost their children. To the person who lost their child. Bless your heart. But how many children did they actually have? And out of all the children who they have, could have been possible somebody did know that they was doing that. You know how people do it sometimes. If we buddy, we cool. I ain't gonna say nothing. Or sometimes somebody pay them little hush money. So I'm curious about that. Did anybody who was going to that particular daycare, did they know what was going on in their house? They just didn't say anything and continue to take a risk with their own child by constantly leaving their child with these same folks on a daily basis. All right? So I feel when it comes to these home daycares, those the one we need to be extra careful about. All right? And as a matter of fact, just like a regular daycare, maybe we need to push and make sure they got cameras in the house. But then again, they can be tricky because, hey, when they doing their dirty shit, they gonna unplug the camera like ain't nothing happened. And, you go pick up your child, something happened, they gonna tell you what happened, but is that really what happened? And you ask them to show the video, and if you pay attention to the video, if you're really keen eye on watching camera videos and you see skips, you can tell when it jumps. All right? Sometimes y'all probably see some of my videos. You kind of see where it jumps. And the reason it does that because if it's a part that I need to pause it, I will pause it till I find what I'm looking for, and then I go back to recording again. Like I said, if you got a keen eye, you catch it. Y'all probably seen it. You will see the video jump slightly. It'll jump. All right? 9 times out of 10 because they doing something to the camera. 9 times out of 10. All right? So please, ladies, gentlemen, everybody across the world, when it comes to them house daycares, please be extra careful with those. I did a lot of stories. People leave their children with somebody who they thought they was their friend, and come to find out the child died in their care. And then when you hear the story, it's just awful. Or they haven't died, they was getting abused verbally and physically. Remember I told y'all about the story. This girl had a friend. Her friend was pregnant and let this girl in her house watching her child, and she was just doing some of everything to their child. And they say they put the camera in the house because they felt like something was wrong because the child was doing what? She was acting different. So they set up a camera, and their instincts told her correctly that her so-called friend, who was finna give birth to a child at the time, was abusing her child. That's why a lot of times I respect what they say, a woman's intuition. I respect that. Let alone she's a mom, a mother's intuition. I respect that. No shade. I respect that. So you a woman and you a mother, you have a strong intuition. Bless your heart. Bless it. Because a lot of time with your intuition, when it comes to situations like this, 9 times out of 10, you are correct. You are correct. Amen. You are correct. I respect it. I respect it. I respect it. All right, so I have a couple of people who send me information about fentanyl. Thank y'all so much. I got one here that says fentanyl cannot be readily absorbed through the skin, nor can you overdose on fentanyl by touching a doorknob or a dollar bill. Okay, so that myth that everybody been putting out there, that was false. Because I've been hearing that too. They say they got this thing that you see $1 on the floor, you pick it up, you're going to get sick because it got that fentanyl on it. All right, so that's a fluke. Then it goes on to say, for fentanyl overdose to occur, the powder must enter the bloodstream and get to the brain. This is why it is important to avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth until you can wash your hands. Fentanyl can also enter the bloodstream through cuts or wounds on the skin. Wounds must be open and visible to allow fentanyl to enter. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, got another one here. Can inhaler fentanyl cause an overdose? And what this says right here. Toxicologists said the possibility of accidental inhalation presents a higher risk, especially in poorly ventilated space where public safety officials suspect the fentanyl is dispensed in the air. That's all I need to hear right there. That's all I need to hear right there. Inhaling or ingesting it puts it in contact with the mucous membrane in the nose or mouth, providing the drug away into the bloodstream, which can result in poisoning. Okay. So, inhaling it, I think I kind of knew that you can kind of inhale it, but not just actually touching it. I kind of felt like, I don't think you're going to die from touching it. But again, like it just said, if you got any cuts or wounds or anything like that, yeah, you can get sick off of that. But I don't think these babies had any of that. If we never absorb the skin, that's where I got the info from, those 2 links. And kids page for everything. Yes, exactly. That's what I said earlier. We as children get curious about stuff. Just like this picture you sent me right here. All these colorful pills that you sent me this picture of right here, ma'am, kids will look at that and think that is candy. Okay? Kids will look at that and actually think that that's candy. All right? So I thank y'all for that info. All right? Appreciate you. I raised my kid primarily to sing them all. All right, bless your heart. Amen. So again, guys, I ain't up here to beat up nobody, man. I ain't up here trying to make nobody feel bad. I ain't up here trying to shame nobody. But we as adults, and I say we, including me too, hey man, we are to know better. We should know better, all right? Because we are in an age now that we know most of the do's and don'ts, okay? So it really ain't no excuse, especially when it comes to stuff like this, all right? Especially when it comes to stuff like this. We all know the do's and don'ts, all right? Prime example. How many of y'all parents, depending on how long this stuff been out, how many of y'all parents used to, what they call them damn things? I think it's called foggers. If you got like roaches real bad or something, and your mom or dad probably set one of them damn things in the house, and what they do, they tell you go outside. All right? Because you stay in there, you probably going to cough your lung up. But when they let one of them bombs go, they tell you go outside. You know why they tell us go outside? Because that shit's going to irritate your body. Okay? And something serious can happen if you sit up there inhaling that shit. Why it's fogging up the whole damn house, or wherever the hell you put them damn things at. My grandma told me all the time she released them damn things. Y'all carry y'all ass outside. Go outside. I mean, it's pretty much like a smoke bomb. It's a smoke bomb. All right. There's a video of a traffic stop, and the officer was testing it with no gloves on and passed out on contact with it. Damn. Really? Wow. Yeah, them bug fogging, and when they wasn't on to play with. Grandma would set them damn things on, and she would tell us, go outside, carry your ass outside. She didn't play with that, man. That stuff, it mess you up. It mess you up. All right, guys. Where is... Let's get into some more of this.
We all heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. They don't want to go to school today because they don't want to die on the school.
They don't want to go to school today because they don't want to die, you know. And I told y'all, this hits me harder when, you know, a father got to deal with it. You know, it hits me harder for a father to lose his child, regardless of what. But he just said the children want to come to school because they scared of dying. That's sad. That's sad.
It's really heartbreaking. They don't want to go to school today because they don't want to die on the school. It's really hard. It's not just those people. It's a lot of things happening in my house. All my four kids doesn't want to go to school because they don't want to happen the same to people that them in school. It's really hard. The drugs, you know, it's dangerous for everyone. Some people like to use it. I don't know why, but some people use it because this is dangerous. You see the result. My boy died, but can be yours. I don't want the other kids. It's an emergency now. I want all my first day alive, but it's pretty hard. Son cosas que no se suponen que pasen. Es un lugar que lo buscamos a través de una home base que se supone que ellos se aseguran de que es un buen lugar para los niños. Nosotros llenamos muchos papeles, we fill up a lot of papers, para asegurarnos de que todo esté correcto con nosotros como familia, que seamos una familia íntegra, de que el niño esté en salud y que todo esté en orden con el niño para poder ingresar. Y esto sucede.
Because when the vetting process occurred, meaning the family went to a community center and was told this is a good facility to use, I wonder how you can vet the facility, advise somebody else, and have the city also vet the facility, and not realize there's other rentals around that would subject children to dangers. A child daycare facility should not have rental units attached with access because that immediately causes danger. You could have pedophiles, you could have any other random dangers, including what happened here.
Y'all heard that? Y'all heard that? Listen to that again.
So that facility, and not realize there's other rentals around that would subject children to dangers. A child daycare facility should not have rental units attached with access because that immediately causes danger. You could have pedophiles, you could have...
That immediately could cause dangers, including pedophiles. Pedophiles. We just had a story not too long ago. I forgot what the girl name is, but her dad went to work and the neighbor came, knocked on the door. Well, at least that's the story was told. The neighbor came and knocked on the door. The little girl posted a text to her daddy saying somebody knocked at the door. He told her don't answer it. You know, I'm going to send somebody over there. Well, unfortunately, they didn't get there on time. Found this baby wrapped up, I want to say in a clothes hamper or the bag in a clothes hamper or something. I may be saying it wrong. Wrapped up, dumped in a clothes hamper. And it was one of the neighbors. He was a teenager. And tried to flee. We did it, but I think they ended up catching him. All right? So when he said that right there, you can't help but to agree with that because it is. Now, I don't know what this attached apartment stuff looked like or whatnot, but the way he's talking, yeah, it must be really accessible for a whole lot of people to run in and out, which is why I say when it comes to these kind of daycares, you just never know what these folks doing. You know, they got people running in and out the house, all kind of strangers coming in and out the house. They could be selling weed and all this stuff out the house right there in front of your children's face. You just don't know. So please, again, now if you just heard this right here, please be extra careful when you're doing these house daycares or these unit daycares, whatever the hell you want to call them. Please, because I want y'all to be safe than to be sorry. And what he just said, if that don't wake you up, then I don't know what will.
A good facility to use. I wonder how you can vet the facility, advise somebody else, and have the city also vet the facility, and not realize there's other rentals around that would subject children to dangers. A daycare facility should not have rental units attached with access, because that immediately causes danger. You could have pedophiles, you could have any other random dangers, including what happened here.
Flaw, you said this happened down the block for you. Hey, honey, how you doing? Wow, and see, Flaw, when I had y'all come in, and y'all tell me, because we've been knowing each other, well, not personally, but you've been around for a while. When y'all come in and say, hey, Chris, this happened right down the street from me, because I think Jello Shots or somebody, I can't remember the girl name, or was it Big Facts? It was one of the two, because I was doing a story, and she knew the person who I was doing the story about. So when I see y'all come in and say, hey, this happened right by me, I don't know, man, it kind of pierces my soul a little bit. And to see that y'all hearing about this right there in your neighborhood. I mean, I know crime is everywhere. It is everywhere. But for y'all to see this too, or hear about this, and y'all stay that close to it, man, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. You said you had to blame our mayor because he encouraged people who have extra rooms to rent them out to migrants. So again, guys, y'all heard what the dad said. My heart goes out to the dad. Okay? And I'm assuming that's his attorney. And y'all heard what he said. Hopefully they release some pictures of what the inside look like. Curl, do me a favor, or you, Chase and Amy, if any of y'all get any pictures of what the inside of the daycare look like, y'all know how to get into contact with me, man. Let me see what this stuff look like, because I'm very interested and intrigued what it look like in the inside for this attorney dude to say what he said and how he said it's easily accessible. Okay? It's easily accessible. I got a clue what he might be talking about. And here's my clue, because you got some apartments. I don't know if they're worldwide, but you got some apartments that got their one big door right there that anybody can just come in. And you got an apartment to your left, you got an apartment to your right. In the back, you got an apartment to your left, you got an apartment to your right. Upstairs, you only got 2 apartments, one to your left, one to your right. But that one big old door right there in the middle, anybody can just come on in. No security, no key card, no nothing. You got a lot of apartments that do that. Now, me personally, I think that's dangerous. I think that's dangerous, especially if you in a neighborhood that you don't know shit about. All right? I'm going to keep it real. Those type of apartments kind of scare the hell out of me, because anybody can walk through that middle door with no issue. They just walk on up in it, boom. And once they in, like the old folks always told me, if a criminal want it, they're going to get it. No matter how hard we fight to keep it from happening. If they want it, they're going to get it. I'm pretty much sure you're going to agree with me on that one. We can protect all our temporary things. I'm going to call them temporary things. Because, a lot of stuff that we put our hard-earned money into to try to build something, once we die, we can't take it with us. So I'm going to call it temporary things. All right? You try your best to protect your temporary things. But nothing is going to stop that criminal for coming in and taking your temporary shit. Now, here's the thing with a lot of us, when we make it easy for them to take it, meaning you just let any and everybody inside your apartment, you let any and everybody inside your home, and let them walk around your house. All right? I don't like that shit. I don't. Ask me where the fuck you can go. I don't like people coming to my house just walking around unless I'm inviting you to go there. Even to my bedroom. If I'm going to invite you to my bedroom, let me do that. All right? But coming in, just walking through my house, talking about, man, this is a nice house. I didn't tell you to go look around my shit. No. Let me tour you around my house. All right? And you lucky if I do open the door, let you see the other rooms. I leave the damn door closed, say, yep, there go my bedroom right there. There go the bathroom right there, all the door closed. Man, I can't see nobody door closed. That's the point. You don't need to see it. That's the point. Just know what it is. That's her name, Maria. Thank you, Tina. That's her name, Maria. That's her name. Thank you. Yeah, man. So I know a lot of us, when we get happy, man, we get these big old houses, man. You lay everybody in your house, start getting into your house. No, like I said, I'm not necessarily just saying it's a bad thing, but it can turn out bad because you're making it easier for them to target your house to get what they want out of your house if they feel the need to come to your house and take it. All right, so don't make it easy for them. Amen. Don't make it easy for them. All right. All right. All right, Flaw. Speaking of your mayor, I'm finna bring up something with him speaking now. Let me see which one is the right one. Okay, this is the one I want to play. I think he's in this. Well, I think they all the same.
Thank you. We just found that it was urgent and needed, that this story could not be just another day in our city. 4 babies, and whomever is the parent.
Daniel, my man, what's going on?
You had to
hey,
see
Mimi.
that picture of that
How you doing,
young
Mimi?
baby that lost his life to just reckless and careless and total disregard for those children. And I wanted, number one, to thank the first responders, the EMS workers who identified the symptoms that the children were going through. I want to thank the police department for their thorough investigation and immediately bringing this case to as much of a closure as possible. And I wanted to thank just our healthcare professionals. And we are going to just elevate to families on what we're dealing with. This is not, I mistakenly leave marijuana around the house or mistakenly leave cocaine around the house. This substance is so dangerous. Just a small amount. That little corner right there, the size of a penny, that little corner you see here is enough to kill an adult. That little corner. So if you're bringing fentanyl in your home, laying it.
So is fentanyl supposed to be stronger than cocaine? Cause I done seen people do coke and take a little bit on their finger, and I guess they took it so much it doesn't do anything to them. But this man said, I guess that same little pinky or whatever, you put a small portion of it or sniff it, whatever you're gonna do, it's finna knock you the hell out. You know, so it is stronger than cocaine.
On the countertop, landing on a place where your child sleeps, landing near a crib, having it on your clothing. That little piece, that little corner, about the less than the size of a fingernail.
Damn.
A tenth of the size of a fingernail.
Damn.
Can kill an adult. So imagine what it could do to a child. You are irresponsible as an adult if you have this inside your home.
Facts.
This is not the drugs of yesteryear. This is so dangerous. And just to think that we have to introduce into the lives of our children Narcan. You have to carry around Narcan. We probably saved the
All
lives.
right, I seen everybody saying 100 times worse. Daniel said, yeah, it's way stronger. It causes respiratory depression. Coke just keep you awake. Wow, that's crazy, man. That's wild. Man, what that happened from the 80s and the 90s? And, you know, you got one drug come over, take over one. You got another drug, take over the other one. And always they stronger than the other one.
Of 3 of those children because of Narcan.
Wow. Wow.
Because those first responders identified the symptoms of what these children were experiencing. What are we doing? What are we doing as a society to our children? This was probably one of the worst days I've had of going up to the Bronx.
Ashley Daniel is supposed to be a husband and a wife.
Losing their babies like this. They dropped the babies off to a daycare center, hoping that their children will be protected by the caregivers. And then speaking with the father yesterday, like, what do you say? What do you say? This is just total madness that we lost a child to this dangerous substance.
Oh, yeah, the cousin, too. Yeah, thank you, Flaw. His cousin, too.
And
yep.
we almost lost 3. We almost lost 4 children to this dangerous substance. There needs to be a full national assault on this drug entering our city. This is a new drug. This is not a new type of battle. And people need to understand this. This is not the marijuana on your tabletop. This is a dangerous drug that a small amount like this can kill an adult. So if you are handling this and you have it on your hands, you have it on your clothing, and then you pick up your child, you are exposing them to the potential of this danger. And that's why we are here today. We're not going to allow this incident to take place and ignore this as just another day and another tragedy in the city. It's not acceptable. And just about everyone up here, we're all parents. We're all parents. And you cannot be a parent and not be angry at what happened to those 4 babies.
Right.
I am. Commissioner.
Okay, good evening. As the mayor said, we're here to provide some updates about 2 current investigations, both taking place in the Bronx. First, along with our partners in the Bronx DA's office, the Southern District, the New York Division of the DEA, and others, we are one step closer to getting justice for the baby so tragically and senselessly killed on Friday in the 5-2 precinct. And as we know, 3 other babies were hurt in the same incident. And now, 2 arrests have been made, charges will be filed, and people will be held accountable. What happened 3 days ago in the daycare center is truly unimaginable. It's a nightmare that these families will never wake up from. But believe me, the NYPD will never rest in our pursuit of anyone who puts our children in harm's way. The dangers of fentanyl cannot be overstated. This poison is extremely deadly, and if you traffic in it, you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. No parent should ever have to go through something like this, and we will continue to work 24/7 to make sure there are meaningful consequences for all these horrific crimes. The second case today relates to a recent gang-related shooting in the Bronx 4-0 precinct. 2 innocent bystanders were shot in that incident, and a 71-year-old woman was killed. The suspect, whose intended targets were members of a rival gang, were quickly identified by patrol officers in the 4-0 precinct through video footage and still photos. And early this morning, less than 96 hours after the shooting, an arrest was made. As the criminal justice system takes its course, the message from our police department is clear. If you carry an illegal firearm, if you recklessly pull the trigger, if you harm anyone in our city, the NYPD will find you, we will arrest you, and you will be held accountable. Gang violence of any type of violence, for that matter, will never be tolerated. Our cops will never stop fighting for the people we serve. And I want to commend all the investigators and our partners in the Regional Fugitive Task Force for their fast, effective work in this case. Now, I'll turn it over to our Chief Detectives, Chief Joe Kenny.
Good evening. I'm going to give you an update on these two cases, and then when I'm done, the Health Commissioner will have some more comments about fentanyl. All right, I'm Chief Detective Joe Kenny. I'm going to give you two updates on recent homicides that have occurred in the Bronx. On Friday, September 15th at 2:41 p.m., NYPD and FDNY EMS personnel responded to 2707 Morris Avenue to a 911 call of unconscious children. This location is a licensed daycare center. The children, ages 1, 2, and 8 months old, were found to be unresponsive at the scene. They seem to be demonstrating an exposure to an opioid. Quick thinking, FDNY EMS personnel administered Narcan to these 3 children and removed them to Montefiore Hospital. Unfortunately, the 1-year-old did not survive and died at the hospital. NYPD detectives later learned that an additional child, only 2 years old, had been removed from the same location at 12:15 that afternoon by his mother. This child also began to exhibit symptoms of opioid exposure. The child was brought to Bronx Lebanon Hospital, where hospital staff quickly administered Narcan, saving that child's life. A search warrant was executed by members of the 5-2 Precinct Detective Squad and members of the DEA at this location, the daycare center. There, we discovered a kilogram of fentanyl in an area that was used to give the children naps. It was laid underneath a mat where the children had been sleeping earlier.
Whoa, they were using it to
kilo
get
presses. This device is
Whoa.
commonly used by hospital staff. They seem to be demonstrating. And when I'm done, the Health Commissioner will have some more comments.
Did he
about
say they
fentanyl.
was using that to,
All right,
to make them nap?
I'm Chief Detective Joe Kenny. I'm going to give you two updates on recent homicides that have occurred in the Bronx. On Friday, September 15th at 2:41 p.m., NYPD and FDNY EMS personnel responded to 2707 Morris Avenue to a 911 call of unconscious children. This location is a licensed daycare center. The children, ages 1, 2, and 8 months old, were found to be unresponsive at the scene. They seem to be demonstrating an exposure to an opioid. Quick thinking, FDNY EMS personnel administered Narcan to these 3 children and removed them to Montefiore Hospital. Unfortunately, the 1-year-old did not survive and died at the hospital. NYPD detectives later learned that an additional child, only 2 years old, had been removed from the same location at 12:15 that afternoon by his mother. This child also began to exhibit symptoms of opioid exposure. The child was brought to Bronx Lebanon Hospital, where hospital staff quickly administered Narcan, saving that child's life. A search warrant was executed by members of the 5-2 Precinct Detective Squad and members of the DEA at this location, the daycare center. There, we discovered a kilogram of fentanyl in an area that was used to give the children naps. It was laid underneath a mat where the children had been sleeping earlier. Additionally, we found 3 kilo. Hospital staff quickly administered Narcan, saving that child's life. A search warrant was executed by members of the 5-2 Precinct Detective Squad and members of the DEA at this location, the daycare center. There, we discovered a kilogram of fentanyl in an area that was used to give the children naps. It was laid underneath
in
the
the
mat where the
area.
children had been sleeping
That's what
earlier.
he said. Okay.
Additionally, we found 3 kilo presses. This device is commonly used by drug dealers when packaging large quantities of illegal narcotics. 2 arrests have been made in this case. Green Mendez, female, 36 years old, with no prior arrests before this incident. She was acting as the caretaker for this daycare facility. We also locked up Carlisto Brito, male, 41 years old. Very similar, 0 arrests prior to this incident. Working with the Bronx District Attorney's Office, they have both been charged with murder and attempted murder, depraved indifference. Medical testing came back on all 3 children. All 3 children had fentanyl in their systems. Year to date, the NYPD Forensic Laboratory has tested over 150 pounds of fentanyl.
Jeez.
The second homicide I will update. Excuse me.
No, that's not seized.
No, that is not seized. That is just tested. This drug is so dangerous that we only test the small, minuscule amount to limit the exposure of our lab personnel. That's how dangerous it is. Even wearing the proper PPE, personal protection equipment, we still try to limit as much as possible our exposure to this drug. That's how dangerous it is. The second homicide I will update occurred on Thursday, September 14th at 12:36 p.m. 2 innocent bystanders were shot in the confines of the 4-0 precinct in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx. Our first unintended victim was identified as a female, 34 years old. She was shot once in her left arm, and thankfully, she was treated at Lincoln Hospital and will survive her injuries. A second woman was also shot. Once again, she was an unintended victim of gun violence. And Raquita Rivera, a 71-year-old woman, was walking on the sidewalk with her shopping cart when she was shot one time in her heart by a bullet that was meant for another, meant for a rival gang member. She was transported to Lincoln Hospital, where unfortunately she passed away. We have 2 innocent women, 2 Bronx residents, 2 unattended targets, both struck by senseless gunfire. Members of the 4-0 Detective Squad and Bronx Homicide responded and were able to quickly identify the perpetrator of this crime. He is Joshua Evans, male, 21 years old. He resides just 2 blocks from where this shooting took place. He has 1 prior arrest, and that was for robbery back in 2019. Evans was located and apprehended by the U.S. Marshals and the Regional Fugitive Task Force at 6:30 this morning. He was found hiding in a relative's home located at 263 Rich Avenue in Mount Vernon, New York. Working with the Bronx District Attorney's Office, he will be charged with murder and attempted murder. Thank you. Introduce the Health Commissioner.
Flaw, y'all is cutting up down there in New York. I thought Memphis was fucked up. Hey, y'all is cutting up down there in New York.
I share the mayor's sentiments that Friday night and Saturday were the worst days of my time as health commissioner to date. I have 3 small children, 7, 10, 7, and 4, and watching the parents go through what they went through was one of the worst days I've experienced in this job or any job. And I've seen people die. I've accompanied people through their end of life in hospital settings. And this is where fentanyl belongs. I remember the first patient I gave fentanyl to, a woman in her 40s who had developed metastatic breast cancer, who herself was leaving a family behind, and needed fentanyl to manage the pain of end-stage metastatic disease. I remember ordering it for the first time and realizing how powerful this substance is, but how much relief it gave to someone suffering from pain unimaginable to most of us. This is where fentanyl belongs. It doesn't belong on our streets, and it doesn't belong in our homes. It doesn't belong anywhere that trained clinicians are not. And it doesn't belong in forms like powders and aerosolized liquids. It belongs in syringes, and it belongs in hospitals where they are extremely controlled substances. Fentanyl is exquisitely dangerous. I use the word exquisitely because I don't have another word to describe how dangerous this drug is. And it is, in fact, completely stressing our entire response to the overdose crisis. People are dying who are dependent on fentanyl. People are dying who are casually using opioids and fentanyl. People are dying who are using non-opioids that are contaminated with fentanyl. We will soon release our overdose data for the city of New York, the calendar year 2022, and we will once again hit a record peak. Year on year, month on month, quarter on quarter, these numbers rise, and fentanyl has contributed to the acceleration of this crisis. As I said when I started as health commissioner, if it wasn't for COVID and then it's followed by mpox and other infectious crises, this would be the #1 issue. Now that we are no longer in the emergency, it should be our #1 issue because it's taking too many lives too soon. A New Yorker dies of an overdose every 3 hours, and now it's going to be less than that. 80% of overdoses in New York City in 2021, and that's old data, involved fentanyl. That number is sure to rise. I cannot stress how dangerous this drug is in its synthetic form, its unexpected form. I also want to emphasize what the mayor said about Narcan. Narcan saved 3 babies' lives. We have defibrillators behind every bar, in every business, in every public event. Increasingly, we have epinephrine pens, EpiPens, in public settings. Narcan has to be everywhere. You should be carrying Narcan right now. I have Narcan right here. These are the Narcan kits distributed by the city. Narcan is now available over the counter. You can go to your pharmacy and get Narcan. You can go to our website and see thousands of pharmacies where we distribute Narcan for free. You can call 311. We do free trainings. Each kit not only has 2 doses of Narcan to be administered through the nose, but has training and equipment for you to do so safely in the field. Anytime you see someone walking past them who looks like they might not be conscious, who might not be breathing, who might look more sleepy or tired than usual, think overdose, think opioid intoxication, and think fentanyl.
We're going to take a couple of questions on these 2 topics.
Let's start for that. Anthony Lorenzo, picks 11. First question is for the health commissioner. So back on September 6th, this location was specifically searched by the state. Can you tell us what exactly they are looking for and why nothing was found inside this location if there was clearly so many paraphernalia and drugs itself inside this location? Can you tell us what exactly they were looking for or what they found?
So my department inspects hundreds, if not thousands, of these sites every year for their safety on behalf of the state. These are home-based child care centers run out of people's homes. And they seek licensure for those sites. This site they applied for a license in January of this year, were inspected initially twice, and a third, most recently, a surprise visit on September 6th, as you say. And those visits are there to assess, to verify identity, to assess safety, to look for essential equipment needed to provide basic child care, to look for things like proper egress and ingress, to look at things like proper ventilation. And we do that time and time again. I'm very sorry, but one of the things my child care inspectors are not trained to do is look for fentanyl. But maybe we need to start. Maybe we need to start. But that has not been a part of our thinking for decades or years in doing this work. And it's served us well because we keep our babies safe through thousands of these centers. There are I think there are around 6,000 plus centers like this, home-based daycare centers in the city of New York that we inspect on behalf of the state. So those are the kinds of things that are looked for in those visits. But this, to date, has been out of the purview of these inspectors. And the incident that just happened maybe tells us that we need to make it in their purview.
And let's be clear on something. The inspectors did not go in and see a drug lab and ignored it. You saw the small amount. So we do not want to give the perception that they went in, did their job, and did the necessary inspections. That included a surprise inspection. And they did not walk in and say,
your mayor cleared that up real quick, didn't it?
So I don't want to give that impression, and we need to be clear on that.
Can someone, maybe yourself or maybe can the police commissioner paint a picture for us about what was happening in that daycare? Where were the drugs? Where were the children? What was the time line of events that they did they eat something and then go down for the nap and not wake up, or how much drugs were in there? And what about the caregiver that was there? Did she have exposure as well, and the other person charged in the case?
No, the caregiver did not have any exposure, did not exhibit any symptoms whatsoever. The caregiver actually was one of the people that were arrested in regards to this. The timeline we do have is that the children were dropped off. The place is licensed to have eight children at any given time. They had 4.
Okay. Eight children.
One child was picked up at 12:15. The other children, 8 at 1 o'clock. They were given food, and then they were put to bed to take a nap in the back room. When I say back room, it's an area where they had mats laying on the floor. If you can imagine, gym mats. They were laid down to take their nap. And then less than an hour and a half later, they started to exhibit symptoms of the fentanyl. As far as what we recovered, it was 1 kilogram of fentanyl was recovered in the vicinity of those mats, and the kilo presses were recovered inside of a closet that was out of plain view.
So they were actually under the mats that the children were sleeping on?
It was.
I don't know about any home daycares that are present, but I know in the past when my grandma used to run a daycare, when it's nap time, you ain't going to back nowhere. You gonna stay right here in the front where I can see you, where you can be monitored. Ain't no going in the back nowhere. All right? I can't see you when you go to the back. You're going to be right here in the front somewhere where I can see each and every last one of y'all. But again, we're in a different era now, so, I don't know. But ain't nobody going back nowhere. There's... yeah, I mean, so, yeah.
It was near the mats, yes.
Dust from it, or the actual?
It's just the residue itself. It's like I said, it's that strong. 1 grain, 2 grains of fentanyl can take down a grown man. So even just the residue itself for a small child would cause the death.
And how are the other children doing? Do we know? Or?
They're doing fine.
We move over to Mark Morales, CNN.
So just wanted to ask, what's the history of the daycare center in relation to any drugs? Is there a history there of anybody connected to it that has drugs? And to the best of your knowledge at this point, how do you know, if you know, how that kilo of fentanyl actually made it in? And are there any more?
So we do have some information that might indicate some items were removed from the location after the 911 call was placed. But as far as the history of that location, we've received no 911 calls, no 311 calls, no complaints from the community at all about that location being connected to any drug transactions.
I'm going to go with Mac Rosenberg, 1010 Wins.
Do you know if Brito was renting a room inside the apartment building in the area where the daycare was supposed to be at all?
He was renting a room that was locked inside of the daycare center itself.
Inside of the daycare center?
That's correct.
Was that noticed at all during the inspection, that this guy was just living there? Was it separate from the daycare?
The daycare center itself is a living apartment. People live there, and then they use it during the day as a daycare center.
Going over to Craig McCarthy, New York Post.
To the Health Commissioner, what can you say about the inspections that are done for these daycare centers and the background checks into the people that are running these centers? And I have a follow-up from Mr. Mayor after that.
The background checks are done on the applicant and the residents of the location where the home-based child care center is being applied for. On the license and the application, the people who ran the site were appropriately background checked and cleared, and were also listed as the residents of that location. So anyone else living there was not listed as a resident as a part of the normal background check procedures.
And Mr. Mayor, do you think you could say what you would say to concerned parents after seeing this fall through the cracks in the situation, and how you reassure them of the inspections being properly done in the future?
Okay, first, this did not fall through the cracks. The team did their job. The individuals involved had no criminal records. They went in, did several inspections, including a surprise inspection, a surprise inspection. That means they showed up without letting anyone know and to do an inspection. They were licensed to have 8 children, they had 4. They looked to see if the place was clean, the place was clean. They did all of the proper inspections that they're supposed to do. They did their job. Who did not do their job are the people who were there to protect the children. They did not do their job. They did just the opposite. And that is what's the most frightening aspect of this, because everything appeared normal based on the standards we put in place to make sure children are in a safe environment. We did the inspections, we did the background check, we did the surprise inspections, we did everything we're supposed to do. Part of this relationship is based on trust, that those who are taking care of our children are going to do it in a safe manner. They broke that trust, as others have. And the real message here, again, is for parents, that if you have someone in your home that is dealing with fentanyl, if you are aware of someone in your home that's carrying fentanyl in your home, if you are associated with someone that is dealing with fentanyl, you are endangering everyone in your household.
All right, we got time for two more. Rocco Carrascondola, Daily News.
Kenny, Chief, is this operation bigger than the three people, the two arrested, the one sought, A and B? Does it appear that this was a drug operation that sought a cover, so they opened up a daycare center? Or did that operation go into effect after the center was open, perhaps because of the relationship between Brito and the caregiver?
The timing of it, Brito comes into the country about a year ago for the Dominican Republic, right around the same time that the site is opened. We're still looking into it. We're working with our federal partners in the DEA, and we're going to be tracking that down. We do have another person of interest that we'd like to speak to. That could expand more on what we're looking at more globally than we are locally.
So you might be looking for people beyond the third person.
That's correct.
All right, we're going to final question. John Doyle, CBS.
Do they have any idea when the drug pressures might have come into the building? When the drug press equipment was brought into the building? Was it prior to the opening of the daycare center? Was it there, or was it brought in after the center was open?
Right now, we're still looking through video, looking for what was coming in and out of that apartment. Like I said, we did find video of items leaving the apartment after the incident. As far as pre-incident video, we're still looking at that as well, but at this time, we don't have that.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, again, a lot of stuff I am ignorant to. All right? I am ignorant to, and I have learned a lot. This is why, one of the reasons why I say who people who call me a square, they say I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't party on club. I will wear that square 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. All right? Why would I want to put my life in jeopardy or put anybody's life in jeopardy with dealing with something like this that they say even a small amount can do major damage to you? I don't know about anybody else. I can't speak for anybody else. I like living. I do. When it's my time to go, I want it to be my time to go. Not because I got hooked on some kind of drug that's going to determine when it's my time to go. Like they did with this little boy right here. And again, that is so sad that you can't even leave your children at the daycare now. Because now you got to worry about stuff like this. So again, anybody who doing homeschooling, I'm not against it. I say that's the best thing right now. Home care, anything. That's the best thing right there. Because you won't have to put them in the arms or the care of assholes like these. All right? And that little boy died because of these folks' negligence and want that high. And it's supposed to be a daycare. And it's supposed to be a daycare. One dead, 3 hospitalized. You can't make this up, guys. You can't make this up. And I'm leaving with this. It's going to get worse before it get better. Sad to say, it just is. It's going to get worse before it get better. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for joining me tonight. Thank you for listening. Flaw, thank you for coming through. I hate that you close to this. You know, it's just sad, period. It's just sad all over. And God protect the children and rest in heaven. Little Dominique, Nicholas, I meant to say. Rest in heaven, young fella. All right, guys, y'all take care of yourself. Keep your children safe. And hey, till next time, I'll see y'all later.